Hey, normally I wait until the weekend to have crab boils, and I try not to eat them too much, but I had some stuff in the freezer, and my son was supposed to make hibachi, and he went over to his girlfriend's house and he didn't make it, so tonight we go for what we know, and I had this in the freezer, so my daughter's at work. And my son ordered DoorDash. But I wanted to get on here because I see a lot of posts on Facebook about people not being content with life and this going on and that going on. I don't think people understand that a lot that goes on with your life in your life has to do with your environment. We get so complacent with our environment and where we're at, and we get so used to it, and so we don't realize that it's actually the place we're in that's keeping us stagnant. I was in a situation in 2017 that I had to abruptly move. Like literally, I had to. And when I tell you that now, 8 years later, nearly 8 years later, I know that move was divinely guided, because literally everything fell into place. Literally everything. God will put you in situations to make your feet move. Because I was thinking about a trillion reasons of why this wouldn't work out, why that wouldn't work out. At the time, my children were younger. I mean, elementary school. And I had to be placed in that position to move. Literally. And I thank God, because I wouldn't be the woman I am today, in the position that I'm in today, if I didn't get that push. But I feel like I was the example of what can happen when you step out on faith, when you literally trust God. Now, when I first moved here to Charlotte, I'm not going to pretend like a lot of people and act like everything was just peaches and cream, because it wasn't. I can remember that first month. I told my mother that when I moved here, right after I moved here, I had exhausted all of my money for the move, and I still can't remember what happened, but I know my kids were at school this one particular day. And at the time, I was working a split shift. So I think I might have been working like something like 8 to 12. And then at night, from 7 to 11 or something like that. And I was working from home. So I was working while the kids were at school in the morning. And then at night, get ready for bed. So it wasn't work. But anywho, I didn't have any money. One day, I didn't have any food, and I literally had to pawn like a old computer monitor, a Roku stick, and something else that I can't remember, just to get $20. Again, I don't remember why I couldn't call my mom, or maybe I felt bad because she had just helped me move. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, we didn't go hungry. We never went with any utilities off. We were fine. Now, is that ideal? No. But, and I feel like in this day, there's more resources, because eventually, I got hip to Uber Eats, and that was my extra money. But those are the sacrifices that sometimes we have to undergo in order to live a better life. Now, 8 years later, 7.5 years later, rather, I have 2 children graduated high school. One getting ready to head to college. One is a successful barber. One is still in high school. And I'm not really materialistic. Like, I literally walk around with holy clothes on just because. But We live in this beautiful 3,000 square foot home. Money is good. Business is good. And me and my children are happy and healthy. God has protected us throughout this entire journey. All we needed to do was move. I come from a small town in Ohio. Ooh. And throughout the years, I've seen a lot of young people pass away. A lot of fatalities. A lot. And I didn't want my children to be an example. So I always knew that I was going to move out of there. I just didn't know that it was going to end up the way that it did. Nonetheless, I'm grateful for it all. You are not a tree. You can move. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. My son's DoorDash is here. Sorry about that, guys. So like I was saying, you are not a tree. You can move. And in some circumstances, especially if you have children, it can literally be to save their life. Can things happen anywhere? Yeah. But I'll say it's less likely when you move them to a space where they don't know anybody. And there's less crime. Again, in certain circumstances. I come from a crime-ridden city. Not to bash the city because I made it out. I grew up there. But it's just certain places are just not beneficial. And again, especially to young children. And you may have people that will try to discourage you. Oh, how you gonna make money? How you gonna do this? How you gonna do? Man, listen. When I tell you, I've probably made more money in the last few years in Charlotte than I made in my whole adult life in Ohio. And I mean that in a literal sense. Certain cities are motivational, inspirational. There's more connects. Even just being in the city, meeting people, and you look at people that look like you, and they're prosperous, and they're thriving, and they give you motivation. You may not have that where you're from. And if you do, it's on a small scale, but you're meant to be on a larger scale. Your prosperity is on a larger scale when you get there, when you take the leap of faith. God is a lot of times just waiting on you to move your feet. I'm not telling you nothing I don't know. It can be in your environment. It can be people you're around. For me, it was both. And when you do it, it's almost like you want to ask yourself, why didn't I do this sooner? But that's not really a question to ask because, you know, God has a time for us for everything, you know. And we don't want to question God because he knows all. And once we get there, once we start walking in the journey that he has laid out for us, we just be thankful. Be thankful. No hard feelings toward anyone. No, just thankful that we decided to move. We took the leap of faith and we're on our journey, on our path, on our correct path. And just grateful. That's the way I look at it. But again, if you feel uncomfortable, you feel like you know that you're meant for more. 9 times out of 10, you are. God is just waiting on you. It's not going to force you. Because once you get into, once you start on the path that he has designed for you, he can't have you waiting on him for every move. And he has to be sure that you're ready. I'm telling you, once you move, you will be so glad that you did. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying be crazy, quit your job tomorrow with no savings, with kids and no direction. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying research. I'm big on business. Hone in on your craft. Hone in on your gift. Because whatever your gift is, there is somewhere that it is highly needed. Period. And you're going to flourish when you move. It may not flourish in the city that you're currently in. And that's okay. But you're needed somewhere. God didn't give you that gift for no reason. Okay? All right, y'all. That was it. I'm full. I only ate a little bit of this crab boil. I'm full, but like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that my next upload you'll get notified and you can tap right in. I love you. I want to share more with you. and I will see you on the next one.